I knew it was getting quite bad when my mom wanted to order steers and I wanted to like cry. It's called orthorexia. So when you have this obsession over just trying to eat healthy.
Because that's something that people think a lot. If I just have one bad thing, I have to start again and I have to start on Monday.
Exactly. A lot of people who market these kinds of diets are like, well, it's going to start burning the fat in your stomach. Like, no, it just starts burning fat.
People think that healthy eating is expensive. That's a myth that needs to be dispelled. If you have the money to buy crackers and cheese, you definitely have the money to buy some vegetables as well. Thank you for joining me today, Aziwe, and I'm really sure that everybody watching this is going to gain a lot of value from you. So yeah, let's start by you just telling us a bit about yourself and how you became an RD.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for like reaching out to me and for having me. Like, that really is something that I'm really like. I'm always so happy when I get to reach out and like create and collaborate with other people. So thank you for that. My name is Aziwe. I am a registered dietitian. I'm currently working for a corporate wellness company. I actually grew up just nutrition like was a passion for my parents. So they were very passionate about health and like veggie gardens and just like eating well and like fruits and veg. And my dad's been a vegetarian for like more than 15 years. So because of that background, like I gained my own passion for nutrition. And initially it was a lot more clinical. Actually, the very start of it must have been when I got so tired of my mom's lunches that were just like the same, like sandwich, whatever. So then I started getting really creative with that. And a lot of people started noticing. And like, I was just like, everyone always knew my lunchbox was the most interesting. Like everyone always wanted to see my lunchbox in high school. So that was how I kind of got into the whole nutrition thing, like in that sense. And then I went and I job shadowed a clinical dietitian. So that's what the majority of dietitians actually do. They work in hospitals. So I saw an ICU dietitian. I saw a dietitian in a tertiary hospital. There was just a whole team that I was shadowing. And after that, I was like, this is so interesting. And there's so much more to nutrition than just the health and the fitness aspect that a lot of people know about. So I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I have to do this. Like, this is perfect for me. Yeah. So yeah, I went and I studied at Stellenbosch. And I did my comp serve at All Saints Hospital in Orbach, and now I'm here being a corporate dietitian and content creation, of course.
Yes, of course, because you have your own YouTube channel.
I do. I think this is the point where I plug it.
Yes, which everybody should definitely go and check out because it's like really solid content.
Yes, no, I appreciate it. It's Health Aziwe on YouTube, and you should definitely go watch. If you like any content that is health related, you'll like it.
I'll make sure to link your channel in my description for this video.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. So you touched a little bit on your nutrition journey, how you started finding your passion for nutrition, but I'd like to know, how has your relationship with food evolved over the years?
It's been quite a roller coaster ride, if I can be honest. I think that it started off really well. Growing up, I had a very good relationship with food. There was none of this kind of like demonizing foods, in the sense that I could have chips at parties, I could have sweets and things like that, but there was still those boundaries. Like, I knew on Wednesdays I could look forward to something like something that I really enjoyed, or on the weekends. But I think when I got into high school, more like matric, it got quite toxic a little bit, because obviously you have matric dance. So I had a little bit of a moment where I had quite a toxic relationship with exercise and food. Like, I remember talking about how like I knew it was getting quite bad when my mom wanted to order steers and I wanted to like cry. I wanted to have a breakdown because she wanted to order steers because she didn't feel like cooking. And that's when I knew it was going into an unhealthy relationship, because I don't think a lot of people know, but you can have an overly it's called orthorexia. So when you have this obsession over just trying to eat healthy. Yeah. So I think I was experiencing that kind of obsession over just healthy eating. But when I got to varsity, I'm just glad that changed, and it still was like a passion of mine. I still love cooking. I still love trying healthy recipes and trying to make my own healthy recipes, but now it's very much, I would say I have a very healthy relationship with food at the moment. When I'm with my friends and I go to a restaurant, I don't necessarily always go for the healthy option, and I think that that's fine. If I feel like a wrap, or I feel like something that's healthier, then I have that, like I have what I feel like. So I would say I have a very healthy relationship with food now.
No, that's really good to hear. I definitely relate with the whole obsession with clean eating, because I myself have been there, you know, and that's not necessarily what being healthy is about, because when you are orthorexic, you actually like have poor mental health, you know, so it kind of like defeats the whole purpose. Yeah, because health isn't just about physical health, it's also like mental health and just the whole picture.
Exactly. I guess for anyone who doesn't know what orthorexia is, it's basically an eating disorder. So it's an eating disorder where you're obsessed with eating healthy, and a lot of eating disorders are linked to there are mental illness as well. Like eating disorders are mental as well. So yeah, I guess that's a very simplified explanation for people who don't know. Yeah.
And I thought that maybe we could backtrack and actually talk about what is a relationship with food, because I feel like that's a term that's used a lot for people who are clued up in health and wellness. But if somebody's like, what does that even mean? How do we describe that for them?
I would describe a relationship with food as how you interact with food in your daily basis. So I think that's your relationship with food kind of is, let's say, for example, if there's a salad in front of you and there's chips, it's like not completely demonizing the less nutritious option. So trying to sort of have a very neutral stance on food. So just seeing the food for what it is would be a healthy relationship with food. If you're eating chips, you're eating chips. If you're eating a salad, you're eating a salad. Not focusing on or labeling it as bad. So just having a healthy relationship with food is like how you would have a healthy relationship with anyone. You treat them equally. You treat them just as well as you would treat anyone else. So your relationship with food should be just as that. Although you do have boundaries, just like you have boundaries in relationships, it's still healthy. You know, you're not labeling. You're not, for example, feeling guilt when you have the less nutritious options, but you're acknowledging that you are having them, and in the next meal you'll have the whatever nutritious option that you can go for.
And just one more level of unpacking this topic, because I think it's a really good thing to talk about. What is it like? Can you give an example of what it looks like to have healthy boundaries in your relationship with food? I think that can be like something that might be a bit difficult for somebody who's just starting out and is like, this healthy eating thing is too much. Now I can't demonize it, they're not healthy. You know, like what is it? What does it look like?
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that, like, okay, well, if we're not labeling it, then what's gonna happen? Like, what must happen? But I think a healthy relationship with food, I think it starts with just any kind of simple habits that you create. So if you know that you enjoy chips, if you know that you enjoy burgers, if you know which foods that you enjoy that aren't necessarily deemed as healthy, allow yourself to enjoy those and create space for those. So that would be doing something healthy. For example, in a week or in a day, let's say, I could start off with a really nutritious breakfast, a really nutritious lunch, really great snacks. And then in the evening, I could have an ice cream. I could have maybe a burger that I really want and still have some veggies on the side. So just trying to have that kind of balance where you eating the majority of the meals are very nutrient dense and are really good for you and really good for like your body, but you're also having those foods that you enjoy, but like in moderation. So just trying to find that healthy balance, I think, is very important. And like I said, it helps to create those kind of healthier habits and things like creating a shopping list when you go to the shop, so that you know that these are the meals that you're going to be making for the week, and then these are the evenings where I'm not going to cook anything and I'm going to enjoy some meal with a family member. or with a friend, you know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, I would say it's like kind of that balance. That way, when you have that ice cream, you're not feeling guilty because, you know, it's fine. You can have the ice cream, enjoy the ice cream. Tomorrow, you're going to eat a healthy breakfast. Tomorrow, you're going to eat a healthy lunch. So there's no point in really obsessing over that one at one time. So just looking at the bigger picture, I would say. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I think that's a really great answer. And I would just add that when you do have that ice cream, you're not telling yourself that tomorrow I'm starting from scratch, because you didn't do anything wrong by having that ice cream. You know, you already supporting yourself with those healthy eating habits. Your body like is ready for that. Your body will be able to handle it better if you're just eating. Let's say you're eating ice cream 3 times a day, then your body is not going to be functioning very well, you know? So then the next day, you're not like, flip, I ate that ice cream, I'm starting again. Or I'm going to eat like super unhealthy and start on Monday. Because that's something that people think a lot. If I just have one bad thing, I have to start again, and I have to start on Monday.
Exactly. It's like a Monday mentality. There's actually been studies done on that. Like if you start eating healthy on a Monday, you're more likely to sustain those habits throughout the week. But what you find is, of course, you're gonna get to Thursday and you come home from work, or you're done with work at home and you feel tired, and you've done studying and you feel tired, and then you have that food item that you think is like so unhealthy, and you're like, I already had this, I might as well just have takeaway for the rest of the weekend. I might as well just eat all of my favorite foods for the rest of the weekend. And it's like it's an unhealthy mentality. That's why it's just like, it's about acknowledging, yes, I'm having a burger, this burger is good, and I'm gonna enjoy this burger. And then wake up the next day and you're like, okay, let me have some oats, let me have, you know what I mean, like just having that healthy kind of outlook where you're not like guilt, or having all of this guilt that surrounds having that meal that you enjoy. Because I feel like it's food, like we should be enjoying it. I mean, you don't know how long you're going to have on this earth, so you do need to take care of your body, of course. But when you have that meal that you enjoy with people that you love, I think that you shouldn't feel guilty, that you should just enjoy it and then go and start again with those habits that you already had in the week.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, I don't know, like I feel like people might be like, OMG, is this really coming from a registered dietitian right now? Like they're not telling me at the time.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously this is me just speaking very generally. I think some people do need boundaries. I can't say that not everyone has a bad relationship with food, but a lot of people do. I think if you need to create those boundaries for yourself, if you say, okay, I'm gonna buy this groceries for the week, and then Friday is gonna be my fun food day where I have my burgers and everything, like not all like in like bulk on one day, but let's say a Friday evening and Saturday evening, you have something planned that's social where you're going to go and eat, and you know that that's when you're going to be enjoying some pasta or whatever, like just enjoy it on those times. So if you need boundaries and you know yourself and you need to have more structure, that's fine. But for some people, structure can be very oppressive. So just like food labeling can be very oppressive. So like what we were talking about relationship with food, some people do need to say, oh, this is bad, so that they don't overindulge. But I think it's important to just kind of shift away from saying this is bad to saying this is delicious, but I'm still going to have my structure. I'm still going to try and eat these meals. I'm still, you know what I mean? So I think it's just a perspective thing. I think it's important to challenge people to really look at their perspective on food and their relationship with food. Because maybe that will make them have healthier habits. Then this healthy eating thing won't be so unsustainable and so unrealistic and expensive and all these things, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Because that's also something, you know, that I've battled with, and sometimes I'm kind of trying to figure out where the line is for me, you know? So it's something that I think is like constantly evolving, because as human beings, we are constantly evolving, you know? So yeah, no, I think that was really great and comprehensive. Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody who is just at the start of their health journey and who's trying to eat more healthily?
I would say start small. Take sort of the small steps. Baby steps is important. I like to say that people should set SMART goals, so be specific in the goal that you want. So if you're, for example, your goal is you want to drink more water, I'm going to take something as simple as that. Try and be measurable. Say, okay, if I have this bottle, I'm going to try and finish 3 of these in a day, or let me start with 1 or 2 of them if I didn't drink any water. And then that's something that's achievable, and it's realistic. And then just give yourself time. Say, okay, for this week, I'm going to try and finish 1 or 2 of these dark bottles, which is basically a liter. When I can do that, I see, oh, okay, great, I've met this goal, let me increase it. So that's exactly what SMART goals is. It's just being specific, having a measurable goal that's achievable, that's realistic, and that you've put a time kind of on it. So I guess another way to put it would be something, for example, eating more veggies. Let's say you never ate veggies, or you only ate 1 veggie a day. So be specific, you want to eat more veg. So how are you going to do it? It has to be something measurable. So if you used to eat 1 kind of veg, try and eat 3. So how that's achievable and realistic. When you look at your plate, if you used to put only a little bit, try and double whatever you used to put on your plate and see how that is. Let's say double it for a week. And then once you see that you're actually making this change, add even more until you have at least half of a plate of veg, because that's like that's one of the cornerstones of like just a health goal. Just eating a lot of fruits and vegetables can be really, really helpful to help you to achieve whatever goals that you want to reach. So yeah, I think that's the thing, like just to give yourself the time and just be smart in the goals that you achieve and want to achieve, and don't try and aim for something that's too high, because that might also discourage you. Let's say if you say you want to lose 20 kgs in a month, that's something, excuse me, that might be too high. That goal might be a little bit too high for you to reach. So maybe try to start with, let me try with 2 kgs or 3 kgs, and then work it from there. So I think that's probably the best advice that I would give to people. Just be specific and give yourself some time. I think social media helps as well. So if it helps to follow some fitness or nutrition content creators, then do that. But if it's something that's, is going to make you feel more self-conscious about your body, and if they do post a lot of stuff about their body and it makes you feel really bad about your body, then maybe don't go for those kinds of pages. Maybe if it's pages that actually show you exercises or show you healthy recipes and it's something more practical, then do that, because that's also really like inspires you and gives you like ideas of how you can actually make this health thing happen.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Because interestingly enough, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I created a video on, I think it was four tips for anybody who's looking to start a health journey. And one of the things that I did say was to be smart with your goals. And it's just one of those things that, like, you've probably heard it quite a few times, and it sounds so boring and so cliche, but if you actually put it into practice, it makes all the difference, And something that I said,
it really does.
No, it really does. Something that I said in that video is that you don't have all of these airy fairy goals that are so in concrete where you don't even know what to do. It's like when you wake up in the morning, you wake up with clarity on what you need to do that day to reach your goal, and that makes it so much easier.
Exactly. Even something like, so my brother does this thing where he creates a list. Actually, both of them, they create a list, like a checklist of what they know they want to achieve that day. Something as simple as that, creating a daily checklist where you know, okay, I want to set my timer, wake up at 6, do a little bit of yoga, do a little bit of exercise for 30 minutes. Then I know you feel so good when you check that thing off the list. So like, the SMART goals thing, I'm so glad that you also touched on it, because it's so, it's like you said, it gives you so much more direction, and it feels like, you don't feel like you start and you just don't know where to start. Like you feel like, okay, I know exactly what I need to achieve, and I know exactly where I need to go with this.
Yeah. And I think that's something like, actually with any new journey that you're starting, it's so exciting when you're thinking about it and you're like visualizing this like amazing glowed up self that you want to be. But then when it comes down to the nitty-gritty
Yeah.
when it comes down to the nitty-gritties of doing the work, that part isn't exciting. And so when you hear someone saying, in order to reach your health goals, you need to start small and you need to set smart goals, it doesn't match up with that vision that you have when you're envisioning how your life's going to change. But unfortunately, that's reality. Like that's how it is in reality. And some of the narratives that we see on social media about like how it is to be healthy or how it is to reach your health goals are not helpful, because they make people think that you just, I don't know, do 100 squats a day for a week and then you've reached your goal. And like, it doesn't work like
body's there, booty popping, that's it. No, not at all.
Like that, unfortunately, So yeah.
That's true. I think also, just if I can add, I think it's also important to actually do things that you enjoy. So like, for example, if you're someone who used to play netball back in the day at school, or if you're someone who likes to run, like move your body in a way you enjoy, and do the same with food. So if you like burgers, even if you like pizza, if you like, find ways to kind of make those meals, but in a way that's a lot more nutritious. Like, for example, I really love like sweet things. So like I found ways to like bake things that are a little bit healthier, or like I'll make a smoothie that like I'll add a little bit of vanilla and cocoa powder, and it feels like it's more like chocolatey. So like just enjoying it. I think you need to enjoy your health journey, and finding like people who are really like influential and have great content can really help with that, just giving you those ideas. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you really just need to enjoy it. And I know in the beginning it might not be very enjoyable. Maybe if you used to be a better runner or better in whichever way that you can move your body, like it's gonna be tough in the beginning. And I think it's just important to stay focused and like to push through and to create. If I think a community is also really helpful for someone who's starting a health goal. So tap into communities around you who are also like-minded, and that will help to motivate you to actually stick to your goals as well, and to be like, hey guys, I had a really tough weekend. They're like, no, it's fine, so did I, or let's push, come on, let's do better tomorrow, let's try. Just that extra support is is very, very helpful in the beginning for anyone.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And there was something that I was thinking of as you were starting and speaking. I think I really, really agree with your message of doing stuff that you enjoy, because that's when you're going to be able to sustain it, and like you're not going to do something that you hate indefinitely. Because when you commit to a health journey, you are pretty much making a lifelong commitment. It doesn't stop when you reach your goal. So
exactly. Or at least if you hate it, at least do it with people that you love. So if you hate interval training, if you hate doing like sit-ups and push-ups and all of that, or any strength training, if you know you're doing it with someone else, I think that also just that motivation of having someone else going through it with you is important.
Yeah. And just also just having like a positive mindset about like health and what that means to you, because I think for a lot of women, and for like a lot of young women especially, you can get into health, and I'm putting air quotes because it's really not healthy, but you can get into health because you're trying to change your body, but you're coming at it from a perspective of hating your body, and that not only mentally is unhealthy, but the whole body is connected. So you cultivating so much stress when you waking up in the morning telling yourself that you need to do a HIIT workout because that's what burns the most fat in the shortest amount of time. Like you're creating triggering the stress hormones, you're just creating this cascading downward spiral that's not healthy for your mind, it's not healthy for your body, it's not healthy for your spirit,
Exactly.
So yeah, I think also having positive motivation for why you want to do it. If you want to change your body, that's okay, but like at least do it from a perspective of like some positive motivation behind that.
No, I agree. I think you do have to be positive. I mean, of course there's going to be days where you don't feel great and you don't feel great about your body. I think that regardless of whether you're healthy and fit or unfit, everyone has days where they just don't feel great about their body. They don't feel great about themselves. They just don't feel good. But you wake up the next day and you start again. So I think it's important for people on their health journeys to also know that when you reach your health goals, that's not going to fix how you feel about how your body and your relationship with your body. It's something that you need to work on before you start your health journey and throughout. Because for some people, they might just constantly still feel unhappy with how they look, even though they've put in a lot of work and sustained a lot of healthy habits to get to where they are. So I think definitely the positive outlook and just having positive goals and just acknowledging the bad days that come with just being a human being is very important as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so on this whole topic of like body image issues, diet culture, so I know this wasn't on like strictly the list of questions, but I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say and if you'd be willing to share. What are some things that helped you in overcoming, like body image issues? Because you spoke about how, when you were leading up to matric dance, you were obviously more conscious of how you were looking, and that led to a more unhealthy relationship with food. So what are some things that you did, or like mindsets that you had that helped you to kind of like start healing from that?
I think that honestly, the people that are around you helps a lot. So surrounding yourself with people who are uplifting, I think, is very helpful. I think just daily affirmations can be helpful as well. I had to try to stop doing the whole mirror checking, like looking how my body looked all the time, because I think that that's something that a lot of us do, and the mirror is just this just terrible thing that we just, every time you look, you just feel like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. So I think what helped was just to be more positive and like, okay, what do I like about myself?
Yeah.
Okay, even if there wasn't that much that I liked physically, let me try and talk about my character. What do I like about myself? What makes me me, and like what can I celebrate? And just to feed into that. I think also just the whole having fun with food is something that really saves my relationship with food. Like I love to try new recipes. I love to try and make my own, like just tapping into like that passion and love that I have and I always have had for food, and just owning that and just being like, it's okay, like food is actually good and you can enjoy it and you don't have to feel guilty when you have these things. Like you can have a burger and enjoy it. Like when you get to that point, like when I got to that point, it feels so good, because it's like, it's before that it was difficult to actually feel like, okay, unless I was like, I planned to eat that way on that day. If it was unplanned, I was like, I can't do it, like it's not happening. So just being a little bit more accommodating and kind to myself, and knowing that like there's going to be days where things don't go as planned, and maybe you meal prep and then that last meal is off now, and you have to cook from scratch, you have to order something, and just being kind to yourself and just honoring the boundaries that you've created, but not letting those boundaries, like for me, I just had to not let those boundaries completely like become unhealthy again. So just being a little bit softer, and I think that was very helpful for me, for sure.
No, that's really great. I think that's really great and like really helpful for if anybody is going through that right now. And so I'll just like chat about what helped me. So I actually found a book. I was at Cavendish Mall in Cape Town, and Exclusive.
Oh yeah, I know Cavendish.
Exclusive Books was having like one of those sales where they just like set up in the hall, and everything was like so freaking cheap. I was going down the escalator. I love looking through books, so I was going down the escalator and I was like, oh wait, no, I'm going to check them out. And I found this book called Fat is a Feminist Issue by this lady called, her name is Susie Orbach, and I can't remember what her academic background is, but she's involved in like food psychology, especially for women. So that book is basically talking about like the politics of women's bodies and how those politics impact women's relationships with food. So that book, that like, firstly, the fact that I found that was like, I'm like, the heavens opened up for me in that moment.
Literally. Like that was God sent.
Literally. And I just think that was like revolutionary for me, because I'd kind of been thinking about how society puts so much pressure on women to look a certain way, and it's really hard not to give into that, you know what I mean? And reading that book, it not only addresses, you know, just basically the social paradigms around women's bodies and how women should look and how that affects how we eat, but then it also gives you practical exercises on how to actually work on healing your relationship with your body and healing your relationship with food. So I read that book and it really started turning things around for me. Like, it just gave me so much more awareness of why I felt the way that I felt and why I was doing the things that I was doing. And I practiced some of the exercises in that book. For example, one of them is like, it's called mirror work, where you look at yourself in the mirror. You can be like completely naked or just in your underwear. You look at yourself in the mirror and you just turn off that judgment. Like, you turn off the judgment voice and you just observe yourself. Just look at yourself as a human being, not a woman who needs to look good to other people, but just as a human. And that's really powerful, because for a lot of people, you can hardly look at yourself in the mirror. You can hardly look at yourself in the mirror without feeling so much shame and feeling so much low self-worth. So I think I should like also put that, the name of that book, in the description, just for anybody who's like really feeling not great about themselves, because I've been there. I know what it's like. It's not great. It's not great. So that helps me it helps me to separate myself from my body, in the sense that for anybody who, I don't know, has some sort of a spiritual belief, in the sense that I am not my body. Like, I am a spirit and I have a body. I live in my body, and how I feel or think about my body is not how I feel or think about myself, which I think is an important distinction that we all need to learn how to make.
Definitely. Wow, that sounds like a really, really powerful book. I love that exercise. I think it's something that a lot of people could really, really learn from. I think you're so right in saying that society just has this unrealistic expectation of how we're supposed to look as women. And I think that it's time that we kind of take control of that and own who we are, regardless of what is expected. And I know that social media really doesn't help with kind of the messages of, you know, this is how you look, Instagram models and like all of that. Like, I'm not throwing shade at anyone who's in the content creation industry. I love you guys and I back you all, but I think that it is very easy for people to think that this is how you're supposed to look, this is how you're supposed to look as a woman, and it's like, it is unrealistic. And a lot of these people who are successful in the social media industry, or celebrities, like, they have a lot of access to money, to trainers, to nutritionists, dietitians, to doctors. Like, they have a lot of access. So I think it's important to just, like, I think that book sounds like it's amazing, and I think I need to read it too. But yeah, just to acknowledge that, you know, the social aspect of how there's so much pressure of how we need to look is very, like, it's very real for everyone.
Yeah. No, for sure. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, what are some common myths about healthy eating that you hear often?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Drinking lemon water, drinking apple cider vinegar. Can I tell you, I've had people who who really were against what I said about a lot of these things, because it's like, we're told them all the time, all over social media, but like, the science and the evidence doesn't back any of those claims for weight loss with apple cider vinegar or for lemon water. And I actually have someone who DM'd me about apple cider vinegar, and they said that they were trying to drink it again, and their tooth, like, they hit their tooth on the glass and it cracked. And what a lot of people don't know about excessive drinking of apple cider vinegar or lemon water is that it has a lot of acid in it. So if you don't drink it and like wash it down with another glass of water, it damages your tooth enamel, which is that layer, that protective layer of your teeth. So it exposes your teeth to being less protected, and that's why that girl experienced that crack in her tooth when she hit her tooth on a glass. So that's a common misconception. There's no evidence to back drinking a special drink, weight loss teas, all of that. There's no evidence to back that either, especially with weight loss teas. They can be very bad for your overall health. There's a lot of natural laxatives in them, and overuse of laxatives can be really damaging to your gut health. Another one is juicing, like juice cleansers. And I'm just like, when you have too much fruit sugars, especially concentrated in juice form, it can literally it's just diarrhea. It's just going to give you diarrhea. It's called osmotic diarrhea. I think that's a specific one, but let's just say diarrhea for now. And yeah, really, it's not going to do anything. You're going to lose a lot of like water weight, because you're just drinking juice. Like, you're not having fiber, you're getting some nutrients, but it's also high in like sugars, fruit sugars specifically. So juices is another one. But I think carbs is a very common one. I'm sure you know all the ones I mentioned, but cutting out carbs, like, it's the most popular, like, for decades. So yeah, I mean, with any diet, actually, the cornerstone of any weight loss is just calorie deficit. So if you're going to think you're going to go on keto and lose a bunch of weight, if you think you're going to go on low carb and lose a bunch of weight, you're going to lose a lot of water weight, because when you're depriving your body of carbs, it switches to using fat for energy, but it doesn't target where it's taking the fat from. Taking the fat in your stomach, like, no, it just starts burning fat in general, for fuel and for energy, so, because your body relies on carbs as its main energy source. So when you start eating carbs again, that's why you gain so much weight, and even like more weight back. Like, you gain all the weight back and more, because your body was in starvation mode, because that's how your body survives in starvation mode. It starts using fat for energy. So now when you introduce it back, it's like trying to hold on to as much as possible, just to make sure that it keeps running and functioning. So yeah, don't try and cut out carbs completely. You can cut down on them, because I know we all eat a lot of carbs, but yeah, that's a misconception that a lot of people have, that they need to go keto, need to go panting, or they need to go low carb. Yeah, those are, I think I've covered the most common ones. You must tell me if there's one that I'm missing, but those are the ones that I can think of that are the most common.
Yeah, I think on a more basic level, people think that healthy eating is expensive, and like, I just think that that's a myth that needs to be dispelled, because of course eating healthy, organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, all that stuff is definitely more
expensive.
But if you're just shopping, if you're just buying fruits and vegetables from Pick and Pay, food lovers, you're buying your meats, obviously you don't want to be buying too much processed stuff, limiting that really as much as you can. That's like, fruits and vegetables are not expensive, and there are things that you can do to make it even cheaper. Like, for example, don't buy the stuff that's already cut up, because firstly, there's a premium for that, for packaging, for the labor to cut it all up. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, it doesn't last very long. So it's not like wise cost-wise.
That's very true.
Packaged foods, if you're buying like the fancier ones, that adds up quite a bit. So just trying to buy fresh, buying things that look like you could have picked it off a tree or like from the ground yourself, you know what I mean? Things where you can see where that thing came from, that will help you to minimize the costs of your food while still eating healthy. So I think people really do have this idea that eating healthy is expensive, and it really is. Yeah, like we can all do it. And in this health coaching course that I'm doing, they also speak about how buying things like frozen food, that also is more cost effective, because then, for example, if you do it by yourself, you don't have to worry about the food going off. You can kind of like, that I'll have my peas or like my mixed veg for like a month. and I'll be able to save money on not wasting food and stuff like that. So things like frozen food, if you can, buy fresh ways, but if you can't, then buy frozen. And as well as if you need to buy like canned veggies, if you're just starting out and that's the most accessible thing to you, then definitely go ahead and do it, because it's better to eat vegetables than not to eat them. So I just thought that was, for somebody who doesn't even know like what some of these things that you're talking about is, like keto, and they're just like, I can't even eat healthy because it's so freaking expensive. That's definitely something that is not true. Like we can, for most people, I don't want to sound extremely ignorant saying this, thinking that everybody has to buy fresh, because fresh food does go off faster. If all you can buy is like maize meal, and that's a different situation. But if you have the money to buy vegetables, if you have the money to buy crackers and cheese, you definitely have the money to buy some vegetables as well.
Definitely. I mean, a pack of spinach isn't more than 15 rand. You can get it for 10 rand. You can get it for 7 or 8. I think I agree with everything you're saying here. And I think it's such a good point, because it's something that comes up so much. Like, and I'm also glad you brought up the frozen veg, because actually in the processing of them making the frozen veg, that they pick the freshest vegetables and they freeze them in a process that freezes them like immediately. So it keeps a lot of nutrients. So by the time cooking it has nutrients. It's something that was picked and then it was packaged and then it was transported to whichever grocery stores, so frozen veg can be really, really, really helpful. And I think also supporting local and buying seasonal fruits and veg, because it tastes better, it lasts longer, it's a lot fresher and higher in nutrients when you're buying something that's in season. Whereas if you were buying mangoes in winter, that wouldn't really be as like helpful. I guess something that's for someone who is a bit more of a planner can be very helpful is when all of those veggies and fruits are still fresh, buy them in bulk and freeze some of them, so that in winter you can have frozen mangoes pop in a smoothie. You know what I mean? Because in that time, in that season, it can be really affordable. So even freezing your own veg, like for me, when I was in varsity and it looked like my green beans were going to start going off, I popped them in the freezer. I popped my peppers in the freezer. I cut up onion and I put it in the freezer. And it's still just as good when you're going to be reusing it, cooking it. So also just doing those things like for yourself is something that can be quite helpful as well.
No, that's really true. That's a really good thing that you're talking about, especially talking about seasonal. Like I am trying to eat more seasonal, but I'm like the biggest hurdle for me is like avocados, because I'm obsessed and I just can't figure out how to live life without avo.
I feel you there, because wow, the other day I went to the shops, it was like 90 rand for like 3 at Pick and Pay, or 4. It was 90 rand, and I was just like, it's so painful.
It like, really is.
It's so painful.
Yeah, I have to figure out what to replace them with when they're not in season, because I'm trying to be like more conscious, because it's definitely not only better for me, but it's better for the environment as well. And I'm trying to do my
That's true
the way I can. So yeah. And then
that's a weak spot for them.
No, definitely. But it is something that I want to work on, because like you're saying, it is more nutritious. I think something that I've become more conscious of because of my health coaching course is the fact that food that isn't in season travels like literally across continents to get to you, and by the time it reaches you, it has burnt chilling, it's lost its nutrients, it's basically like trying to maximize the efficiency of the food that you're eating. So if you're buying it, it's more efficient in like economic terms because
definitely
it just has more bang for buck, so yeah. Okay, cool. And then in summary, what does a healthy lifestyle mean to you, and why do you think it is important to live healthily?
I think it's important to live a healthy lifestyle because I think it's outside of just the look, because I think a lot of people are chasing a look for health, but I think it's chasing a feel, because when you when you have a healthy lifestyle, which includes getting enough sleep, getting a constant amount of physical activity, at least 30 minutes, 3 times a week at minimum, eating at least 4 to 5 fruits and veg a day, drinking enough water, all of those things make you feel better. When you're nourishing your body with what it needs, it can function better. You don't feel as tired. You can actually get through the day. Mood-wise, there's a lot of links between nutrition and mental health, especially when it comes to your omega-3 fatty acids, which are the fatty acids you can find in a lot of your oily fish, like a tuna and your pilchards and your salmon, trout, and also your fruits and vegetables. You can find a lot of antioxidants, and like they're called plant chemicals, but like technical term is phytonutrients or phytochemicals, and they're really good for reducing oxidative stress or reducing inflammation in your body, which can lead to a lot of things like cancers and mood disorders, and just anything that has to do with your body. A lot of the reasons why those are issues because of inflammation, and eating healthy reduces inflammation. So it reduces your risk of developing a lot of different diseases, a lot of different chronic diseases as well. So for like longevity, for a longer life and for a healthy life, just eating healthy and eating well is really good. It's also good for your mental health. It's good, I think, for you just overall. Just I think it's important for us to at least try. I do know that it's not easy for a lot of people, because not a lot of people have been eating healthy. They've been eating a certain way their entire life, and it's a big deal to make a lifestyle change. So I think that it's important to acknowledge that it is a step, and just to try and keep making those steps, but to also see that actually when I'm eating well and when I'm doing all these things, I feel better. So I think that's important. I think, of course, there's also for your skin and your hair health, but again, for things like that and the things like certain chronic conditions, they can also be genetic, but food and just keeping yourself nourished is also something that can really help with certain symptoms. I think, for example, if someone who struggles with hair loss, eating a lot of nutrient-dense foods that have a lot of your B vitamins can really help. And yeah, I think overall it's important to just try and eat as much veggies and fruits as possible, because I mean those benefits, like mental health is better in check. You physically feel more energized, like all of those things like that just help you to just get through your day to day, purely just by changing how your plate looks. It's just, for me, like those benefits are so exponential. So I think that's why I think it's so important to try and eat healthy, because it's, yeah, in the long run it does a lot more good for you. I mean, I have a great grand, she lived until she was 100. She still had her fried chips every now and then, but she ate a lot of veg. She was always eating veggies. She didn't eat a lot of processed meats. And for a longer life and for a happy life, I think it's important to eat healthy. And also, I think so trying to have social interaction. I know the day and age we have, it's tough, but that also helps with healthy habits. Because when you're eating with people around the table, you're doing those kinds of things. Let's say if you live alone, if you're having dinner over a Zoom call, like things that just make healthy eating just a lot more comfortable and natural is also really, really good, I think. So yeah.
I think what really stood out to me that you mentioned was the link between nutrition and mental health, because I just don't think that that's something that gets enough airtime. Like the fact that your mental health outside of life circumstances is really made in your gut, from the hormones that are produced in your gut, and that translates to your brain. So if you're feeding your gut with healthy bacteria, prebiotics, probiotics, it helps create those hormones that contribute to your mental health, your serotonin, your dopamine. So it's like there's a big conversation around mental health, but I think as part of that conversation, we also need to talk about how self-care through healthy nutrition is also really important for just making sure that we are healthier, mentally. I thought that was really good that you mentioned. And yeah, I thought that was really good. Okay, and so where can everybody find you? People who are like, who's this Azzy girl? I love her. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Aziwe_Booi. You can also find me on YouTube at Health with Azzy, and I'm sure I will be on TikTok soon. I hope I am by the time this launches, but I think my handle is the African Dietitian. I think I remember making that my handle, so I hope that that's the right one.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was amazing. I love everything that we talked about. This was a rich conversation. So I'm really happy. I think everybody who watches this is going to walk away feeling like they gained so much, you know, being able to like question some mindsets that they have about like dieting, diet culture, what it means to be healthy, what it means to eat healthily, and basically also walk away with some action steps in terms of being able to actually start their health journey. Because I think that ultimately really is the hardest part, just getting started.
Exactly, the practical aspects for sure. Yeah, no, thank you for having me, and thank you for like us just doing this collab. I'm really happy, and I also, yeah, I think definitely people will learn a lot from what we had to talk about, and I really enjoyed chatting to you. And yeah, I hope people know that the health starts from your gut a lot of the time. So like if you're eating well, a lot of those health benefits will radiate from all health aspects, mentally, physically, emotionally. So we should really just do it. Like we should take that step, take those small steps, and overall it will just be, the benefits again will always be exponential.
Yeah, definitely. And like I'm here, you're here, and we're creating content for people, so there is a soft landing cushion for people who are just getting started.
Exactly. So, and yeah, I think that is extremely helpful for anyone. And like I'm so glad that you are on these platforms, because I think a lot of people of color have always been scared to, or been unsure of going into yoga or Pilates, because it is an industry that's quite whitewashed. So like you're doing amazing things. So yeah, I appreciate you taking up the space, and like keep taking up the space, because we need you.
Thank you, girl. That's like I told you when we spoke the other week, that's exactly how I felt when I found you as well. Because like you said, it is really whitewashed. And while, you know, we're working on the same mission, but we need to see people who look like us as well, you know?
Exactly. To show that health is something that's for people of color as well. Because I think that's also a misconception. People think this whole healthy eating thing is only for a specific race or a specific class, but it really, a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating can be for everyone.
Yeah, perfect. So let's sign off there before we segue into a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I know we can talk forever.